guys. Welcome to Manic Monday, Season 2, Episode 1. I'm going to cover those two friendships that I forgot to mention in the last season when I was doing the friendship line. And then we're going to move ahead to the end of my relationship line leading up to now and all of the issues I've had in between. So let's get started with the friendships that I forgot. The first friend that I'm going to talk about, we're going to nickname her Casey. And I met her at the first school that I went to, the first high school before we had moved. Now, Casey was among that friend group that I mentioned when I was mentioning my first or my second best friend. But our issues came into play maybe a year after we became friends. We were pretty good friends. We would go to the mall together. We would go to the movies. I spent the night over there one time. Her mom took us out to eat, and they paid for me to eat, which was awesome. You don't get a lot of friends and family like that. And that school was racist, so it's very rare that you find a friend with a family that isn't racist. So that was profound to me. That stood out within our friendship. But then, boys, okay, to sum it all up, we ended up finding out we had a crush on the same guy. So the day that we found out, we never had a conversation about who could pursue him. Would we be okay if one or the other pursued this guy? So the next morning, this is 8th grade year. All classes sit in the bleachers before they release us to our class. I'm walking up and I see her talking to the guy. I'm instantly paranoid. My first emotional reaction was anger. And then I have PTSD because of the first best friend, in 5th grade. I asked her to tell my crush that I had a crush on him, and the next day they were in a relationship. So I'm angry. I sit down. She spoke. I didn't say anything to her. The guy's staring at us weird, he's going back and forth, uh-oh. And my other friends asked me, what's going on? What's wrong? Because they see it all over my face. My mom has always told me I wear my emotions on my face. And I didn't believe it, but now that I've observed myself more, it's true. I cannot hide how I feel. No matter how hard I try, my face is going to say it. So I get to explaining to the other friends, why I'm upset, why I'm not speaking to her. And she's sitting right next to me. So it's bizarre, right? I'm acting like she's not there. And I called her, I'm calling her names. I called her a bitch. I'm this bitch did da, da, da. She knows we have a crush on the same guy. And she just went ahead and she told him. And I don't even know if she told him. This is just what my mind told me. And I just feel what else would they be discussing? Because he never talks to us in the bleachers. Our class in the bleachers were separated by friend groups. You know what I'm saying? His friend group never interacted with our friend group. So to see her talking to him one-on-one was a trigger. You know what I mean? So we almost get into a fight in the bleachers because I called her name. And then, we start yelling back and forth. Our friends separated us. They're A, it's too early for this. B, y'all friends. We're not going to let y'all fight. This is what the friend group was trying to prevent, was us getting in a fight, then getting in trouble, then splitting up the group. So we go throughout the day. All of us had different classes with each other. So I might have a class with 2 of the friends out of the friend group. She might have a class with 1 or 2 of the friends out of the friend group, separately. So throughout the day, all of our friends are trying to calm us down, figure out what happened, and get to the middle of it so they can solve it. By the time lunch comes around, we all sit down and they try to mediate. So they're asking her, they're asking Casey, what's your side? And then they're asking me, what's going on with you? But I was still pissed. BPD, when we have a strong emotional reaction, it takes us a long time to come back down from that. So by the time lunch came around, she might have been cooled off, but I wasn't. I was still in the same mindset that I was that morning that I walked in the bleachers. Mind you, hours have passed. And I still don't know what she told him. I'm just going off my assumptions at this point. And so I believe she said something she was actually trying to, solve the issue. She's trying to tell me that she didn't tell him anything and that they weren't talking about the crushes or whatever. And she started raising her voice. So I started raising my voice. And it ended up with us charging at each other again. I believe either she crawled on the table or I crawled on the table. I don't know. But we were about to go blow for blow again. So finally, the lunch monitor comes over and separates us. I forgot who had the move. I think they moved both of us. I don't remember for sure, but I do know that the lunch monitor had to break it up and we couldn't sit together at the same table. Then chorus comes around. We have chorus, class together. Literally everybody in our friend group has chorus. So this is like the last class before homeroom, and homeroom is the last class before you get dismissed. So it's about the end of the day. I'm still pissed off. So they try again. The friend group tries again to mediate the situation. They're like, come on, this is ridiculous. Do you guys even know if he likes either one of y'all? Like, why are you fighting about this right now? And I don't know how it got to this point. I can't remember exactly. They had us in the hallway. We were talking, exchanging words. Then the words got heated. She tried to choke me. So I just started punching her ass in the face. Because you're not finna choke me out. Like we started fighting. The chorus teacher had no idea what was going on. He's asking everybody to line up so we can leave. And we're in this dark hallway, next to the classroom. So all he hears is commotion, but he doesn't see us. So he finally comes over. By the time the chorus teacher comes over to break it up, our friends are already in between us. And all he can hear is us arguing. So he stops us after class. Like, he dismissed everybody and stopped us in the hallway. He said, what the fuck happened? Because she was pissed off. Her face was red. I was pissed off, breathing heavy, stomping in the hallway. So he stopped both of us, like, what's going on? We looked at each other. We go, nothing. And then he was like, okay, just, stay away from each other. And he gave us some advice and let us go on about our way. The next day, I had completely, alienated her. I pretended like she didn't exist. I wasn't arguing with her anymore. Like, she tried to speak to me, but I just, I left it alone. I didn't have any more explosive reactions. And then we just ended up drifting apart from each other. Like, freshman year, we began being cordial again, but we never got back to that close bond that we had. The talking on the phone all the time, going over each other's houses, going out to the mall and, doing stuff like that. We completely put an end to it. And then after I moved to the new high school, that buried our friendship. That was the end. That was it. And I hadn't spoken to her since. I remember her telling one of my other friends another reason she didn't like me or didn't have a desire to rebuild the friendship is because she said my personality was too positive for her to be around. She said I was too much like sunshine and she couldn't handle it. And back then I was like, wow, that's a dumb reason not to want to be someone's friend. But now that I'm older and I know more about mental health and, how people struggle, it makes sense. Like, sometimes it is hard to be around people that are super positive if all you have is a negative outlook. So I don't fault her for feeling that way now. Back then I did, but now I completely let that go. I've matured and I realized that, because I'm kind of like that now. It's hard for me to be around people that are super positive and encouraging. And it's crazy because I used to be that person. But now, after going through more traumatic shit, I understand where she was coming from. And if she ever watches this video and she figures out I'm talking about her, I'm sorry for how things ended. And I never should have put my hands on you. And it's pretty dumb to be fighting over a boy, especially at the age we were at. And I hope you have forgiven me. And I hope your life is good. Now, the next friend, I don't really care too much for, as far as making up and being in touch. I met her my sophomore year after we went to the new school. She was the third the third or fourth black girl that I had ran into at the new school. Because remember, I told you that school was more of like a mixture, but we had more Latinos, and Caucasians than we had black people, especially black girls. I think in total there was only like six of us, 6 or 7 black girls, which is more than at my last high school because it was just 2, me and my cousin. So, this was a blessing for me. Okay. So this girl, she had just moved like a month after I had got to the school. So when I got there, she moved like a month later into the school from Mississippi. She was from down south. I'm gonna name her Brittany. That's gonna be her name. So Brittany, we're in the same grade. We were both sophomores, and then we clicked instantly. Like, it took me longer to click with Sarah and Jamie, but with Brittany, it was like instant. Our personality was damn near the same. She was a little more on the high energy side though, and I kind of like fed off of her energy. Like, I loved how creative she was. She was bouncy, like she was all over the place. She was a social butterfly. Like, she could talk to anybody and everybody loved her. But there was a side to her that came out that I did not agree with, and I didn't know how to deal with it. So we were friends for about basically the entire school year, but it was towards the end of the school year that our friendship began to deteriorate. And here's why. Around winter ball time, a little bit afterwards, she began dating my brother. Now, Brittany has a reputation from her hometown of being a cheater, being promiscuous. I remember her telling me a story when she first, around the time she first met me, about how she was cheating on her boyfriend on the phone. She was intimate with a guy while on the phone with her boyfriend. So this is the type of chick we're dealing with. So I warned my brother, I'm letting him know, I know this, and this about her. Are you sure? And I also felt like it might be weird because I was her best friend and he's my brother. But my brother assured me everything was going to be okay. He really liked her and she really liked him. And, I told her, that's my brother. Treat him right. Yeah. You ain't got to worry about it. So maybe after a month or 2 of them dating, she's flirting with other guys in class. I'm catching her in the classes that we have, flirting. And I'm like, okay. Not thinking too much of it. I didn't want to get in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? Because, I'm the little sister. And I don't want my brother to think I'm just making stuff up because she's my friend. And I don't want them to date. So I didn't know what to do about that. I didn't say anything. I kind of was like I would ask her sometimes, what's up with that? Oh, it's nothing. I'm just playing. Okay, so I left that alone. Then we started hanging out together. Me, my best friend, and my brother. So they would go on their dates, do their thing, and then they would come get me and we would chill. One particular day we were hanging out. I'm in the back seat of the car. I always let her sit in the front because, she's dating my brother. So I'll sit in the back and let them do them in the front. And, I'm just in the back by myself chilling. Or, I'm with my brother's best friend in the back seat chilling. She reaches over and starts hitting my brother. And the way my brother reacted, I could tell it wasn't the first time it happened. And I instantly got pissed off. I'm in the back seat boiling. And I'm I'm asking her Brittany, what the fuck? Why are you hitting my brother? What the fuck is wrong with you? Keep your hands to yourself. And my brother no, don't get into it. Don't get into it, blah, blah, blah. And she kept hitting him. And I'm just yo, you gotta go. We not finna do this. And then, cops get called and then stuff happens. No, she had a really serious anger problem. My brother does not hit women. Never have. I could never see him doing it. You know what I'm saying? And so it pissed me off because my brother is a very nice man. He's very nice. He's patient. He's understanding. He's awesome. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that would date my brother or have my brother's attention, they better cherish that shit because he's a good dude. So this had me pissed. And when we get home to ourselves, I'm asking him, does she always act like this? What am I missing? Why why are you putting up with this? And he was just like, I don't know, I'm finna break up with her anyway. And, you know, he tried to like brush it off and play it off, but that shit had my blood boiling. And I didn't know what to do because she was my best friend. So I began to passive aggressively like spend less time with her. I would, you know, engage in less phone talk and activity with her. She helped me celebrate my 15th birthday at her church. And then like after that, it was just kind of like, it was a wrap. And then we found out she was moving, you know, after the school year ended. So this is like April, May. School's about to be out. Her mom throws this hotel party for her. So I go with my little sister. And she's all like, oh, you know, I'm going to miss you. And it's going to be so sad. And I'm just thinking to myself like, yeah, maybe. So I kind of felt a little sad. But then after she actually left, like a day or two after she left, I just got to thinking about everything that she was doing to my brother. And, you know, I heard stuff about her after she left, you know, like what she was doing while she was dating my brother. And I just blocked her. I blocked her on everything. She reached out a couple times and I just didn't say nothing. I don't know. I can't believe that I let her, you know, do what she did to my brother. Like me now, I would have beat her ass. Even if my brother told me not to get into it. But back then, I was kind of like, what do I do? You know what I'm saying? I was tossing it back and forth because I had love for both of them. But after that shit, it was just like, I have no desire to keep in contact. Good riddance. So, that's about it. I mean, as you can see, I struggle with maintaining friendships and relationships. The last relationship that I covered with you guys was the guy that I met when I was supposed to go to college. I ended up not going. Me and him teetered back and forth for a long time. But I had this desire to end the on and off that we were doing. So we made it a habit until I was about 22. So from like 18 to 22, we had this on and off relationship constantly. We were on, then we were off. We were on, then we were off. To the point where we wouldn't even change our statuses on Facebook because we didn't know how long we were going to be fucking with each other, right? So in 2019, this is right after my father passed away. It was during our off moment. So the soldier guy was like still messing around with me. And I kind of, you know, I wanted to dead the situationships that I kept putting myself in. That involves the soldier guy and, you know, the guy that I fell head over heels for. I didn't want to do on and off anymore. So I cut soldier guy off. And I told him, like, he was there for me when my father passed away. But after my father passed away, you know, that next year, that January, I was telling him, like, you know, I can't do this anymore. Either we're going to be friends or we're not going to talk to each other because I'm not going to do the on and off with you. And then I'm suspicious about him, like, having other partners, other girlfriends. Because he never would talk about it. But, you know, he's always on his phone. His phone's always blowing up. And I was just tired of being paranoid. You know what I'm saying? So I just told him, like, you know, just leave me alone. Because I don't want to have sex with you anymore. And then with the guy that I fell in love with, we hadn't been talking to each other. Or we hadn't even I think I had him blocked at this time when my father passed away. So the only way he was able to reach out to me was like through a sibling's account, or he had like another account that I didn't block. And he called me to, you know, comfort me about my father passing away. But nothing ever came of it. You know, nothing ever came of that conversation. We had that conversation and we went right back to not talking. So after I cut the soldier guy loose that January, me and the guy that I fell in love with, we were kind of entertaining each other again. So, like, he called me in December. And then, you know, because my father passed away right before Christmas. I cut the soldier guy loose after my father's funeral. So, by January, I was in touch with the guy that I fell in love with again. I'm like, you know, maybe we can try again. But I I ended up meeting someone else. So we're doing the on and off thing, me and the guy that I fell in love with. We're going to name this guy Tom. Which is weird because, it doesn't matter. He was a Latino guy, so, it's weird. But anyways, let's stay focused here. So Tom, right? I'm with my brother. This is like a week or two after my father's funeral. Me and my brother are spending a lot of time together, to like comfort each other, to lean on each other for support. It crushed me when my dad passed. I was like, I could not be alone at all because it was just so dark. You know what I mean? So at this point, I'm at my brother's house like every other day or every weekend at least. So he gets invited to this party from this guy that he works with. I can't remember if it was a Christmas party. Yes, it was a Christmas party because we hung out with them again on New Year's. So anyways, we're at this Christmas party and it's me, my brother, and his girlfriend. I didn't know anybody there. I brought my daughter with me as well. There were kids there that she could play with. So she was playing with the kids and my brother was doing his thing with his coworkers. And I kind of like stayed close to his girlfriend because I didn't know anybody. And, everyone, like the majority of the people at the party were speaking Spanish. And I'm not fluent in Spanish. I want to learn so bad because I want to speak it and I want to understand it. But I have no foundation to that right now, okay? So I'm just chilling. Food was great. I met a couple of his coworkers. I saw Tom, but Tom came late and then he left. So I didn't really get to interact with him. So New Year's comes around, New Year's Eve. Me and my brother are hanging out again. He's like, if you're not doing nothing, we're at this bar. You should come with us, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, sure. So we go to the bar New Year's Eve. It was my brother, my cousin, me, one of his coworkers, and Tom. Tom is my brother's coworker as well. I just want to throw that in there because I don't know if I mentioned it. So we're all at this bar. We're having fun. I had a blast. I was drunk and I was surrounded by other people that were drunk. And, there were no issues. Nobody was fighting. It was just a great night. You know what I'm saying? I met a couple people. I almost became friends with them. But, I can't keep up with my friendships. So nothing came of it. But they were interested in being my friend. And, I hung around some people I didn't know that night in the bar. Now, this is where me and Tom really start to click. So, I remember first, he was nervous to approach me at first because, my brother, he's not only my brother's coworker, but he's also his friend. So we're at the bar and we're ordering drinks. My brother goes somewhere with my cousin. I think they went to the car to smoke or something like that. And he told Tom to keep his eye on me and make sure nothing happens. So I get to flirting with Tom. I thought he was attractive. I don't think it was the alcohol. I really did find Tom attractive. But the alcohol gave me the courage to openly flirt with him. Because I was rubbing his hair. I was touching on his arm. I was doing all type of stuff. And so after the bar closes, we cracking jokes. Where the party at now? It's 2, 3 in the morning. Ain't nobody partying at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So my brother was like, I'm hungry. And I'm like, I'm hungry too. We should get some IHOP. So everybody took a vote. I think his other coworker went home. He was like, nah, I messed up. I got to go home to my wife, blah, blah, blah. I'll see y'all around. So me, Tom, my brother, and my cousin goes out to IHOP to eat. No, his other coworker did come because he gave Tom a ride because of how drunk, they were. We get to IHOP, we order food, we having a good time. I'll insert our picture here. Tom wasn't in it, but I took a picture of us that day. And so by the time we get done eating, it's 4 or 5 in the morning. Sun's about to come up, the birds are chirping. I got Tom's number. So we're they're like kids. We're texting each other under the table because he doesn't want to openly flirt with me because my brother's right there and I don't want to make my brother mad. So, we're flirting under the table on the phone. It's so funny. So we're get done eating, right? Everybody's like, okay, who's riding with who? We're trying to make plans of who's going to be the designated driver. Is anybody need to ride with anybody else? How we getting home? So my brother lived right down the street, like literally 2 blocks. So he was like, I'm good. My cousin's going to ride with me and we're going to go to my house. And I lived maybe about 15 miles away from it, 10, 15 miles. So I was like, I'll drive myself and I'll let y'all know when I get home. So Tom was like, he was trying to finesse, like, oh, I can ride with you and, we can follow you or whatever. And I was like, no, that's okay. So I get home and I'm still texting Tom, right? And I'm like, you should come over. Nothing. I don't want to do nothing. We could just cuddle and go to sleep. But I really like you and I don't want this night to end. So Tom comes over. We're intimate for the first time that morning. And then the next day, like New Year's Day, he offers to take me out to eat. So like our official first date. We go to this nice restaurant. He's all dressed up. He ordered, like, he paid for whatever I wanted to eat and whatever I wanted to do. And then he was just kind of like, now what? And I was like, I don't know. I guess I go home. And please don't tell my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was not supposed to hook up with you that fast. So there was like a sheet of embarrassment there because of how quickly I moved with this guy. And, I kind of wanted to distance myself from him, to distance myself from the shame. But he actually turned out to be a really nice guy and he liked me as much as I liked him. So we ended up starting to date, and I believe like, let me see, maybe like a week or two in, I'm still entertaining, the guy that I was madly in love with as well. So I'm at this point, in the middle of January, end of January, where I have to choose because Tom is showing a lot of interest in me. We're texting every day. He's bringing me food when I tell him I'm hungry. Like, this is without me asking. I'll be like, I'm hungry. Then he'll be like, I'm pulling up with food type thing. And then the guy that I'm madly in love with, he's over the house maybe like once or twice a week, coming over to hang out with me, chill with me or whatever. So now I'm like, I got to make a choice because one of these days they're going to end up running into each other. And I'm going to have to explain what the fuck is going on. I'm not in a serious relationship with Tom, and I'm not in a serious relationship with the guy that I'm in love with. But still, there has to be some type of communication since there's two people involved. So me and the guy that I'm in love with, we get to arguing one of these days in January. I forgot how it started. I believe it was something where he was like asking me about my attitude and how it had changed. And it ended up like blowing up into this big argument. We argued for like a day and a half, maybe 2 days. And I remember like just telling him like, just leave me alone. Like, I never want to talk to you again. Just leave me alone. And like literally the argument lasted a day and a half. And it was the next night. We're both sitting in the car. And he's like, if you love me and you really want to be with me, tell me now. He said, but if not, tell me to leave you alone and I will. It was like that type of conversation. I'm crying. I'm upset. He's upset. And I'm just like, fine. You know what I mean? Leave me alone. I don't want to be with you anymore. Because at this point, I was like trying to call my brother so he can come over and either calm him down or get him away from me. I'm reaching out to the guy that, I'm reaching out to Tom. I'm reaching out to Tom and I'm asking him, can he come pick me up? Like, he got to that point. He didn't put his hands on me or anything like that. But since the argument was going on so long and because we were yelling at each other, I started to, I don't know, like my emotions made me feel like I was in a fight or flight situation, even though he wasn't physically hitting me or anything. I just felt like I needed to run. You know what I'm saying? And so there was a big, after I told him, like, leave me alone. I don't want to be with you anymore. I don't care if you move on. He took my keys. He ran into my apartment. I think he like locked himself in the apartment. It got toxic. I'll leave it at that. It got toxic. So I ended up having Tom come pick me up. Tom came and picked me up. I was outside in my car and I waited for him to pull up. Then I just hopped in the truck And I'm like, go, 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 go. So now I have to tell Tom what's going on. Like, there's no more, I ran out of time to communicate with both of them and to pick one of them. So now I have to tell Tom what's going on. We get to Tom's house. He lives with his mom, which this is by choice. It's not that he's like, because he's a worker. He's a hard worker. This is not him mooching off of his mother. This is a choice. His mom doesn't want him to leave home. It's like a culture thing, right? So I meet his mom, I meet his dad, and we kind of like go in his bedroom, and he's like, okay, what the fuck? So I tell him everything. I went ahead and laid it on out. I'm like, how we met was fast and unexpected, but I have been talking to my ex. So my ex is in my house right now. And I started apologizing, honestly, because I knew it was a shitty thing. Like, if I'm talking to a guy, I expect to be the only one he's talking to. So if he comes and tells me, like, come get me because this girl's tearing up my apartment, and I pick him up and he lets me know, like, he's been talking to us at the same time, I would feel some type of way. Some people don't care because it's not official, but, a lot of people do. Majority of people care about that, especially if you're really into the person you're talking to. So I started apologizing to Tom. I'm like, I'm sorry, I should have told you about him, but I didn't know where we were going, and me and him are kind of in an on and off situation. So he was pissed at first, but he let me spend the night. He went and got me food. We talked it out, and he was just like, I was upset, but it's like you said, we're not official. And we did move pretty fast when we first met each other. So, what can I expect? He was like, just promise me moving forward, you won't communicate with any of your ex-boyfriends. And I want you to be my girlfriend. So I don't want you looking for anybody. And I'm like, okay, are you sure? Because we've only known each other for like 3 weeks. And, yeah. So he was like, yeah, I'm sure. So I stayed at his house for like 2 nights. And then after the second night, I went back to my apartment. And there was a letter that my ex had left me. He didn't destroy the apartment or anything. He did smoke all my weed, but that's minor. He left me a note, though. When I got back, he wasn't there. He was texting me the entire time I was with Tom, but I think I blocked his number. I just ignored his messages. So I get back home to this note. And, I don't know if I still got it. I think I still have it, but I don't think so. So basically, to sum it up, the note says something about, like, how he was sorry. I think he had read some of my journals because he left a note in one of my journals. So he had read some of my entries. And he said something along the lines of, like, I'm sorry that things went how they went. I wish we could have worked it out. I just wanted to love you. Something along those lines. Like, it was really touching. And I almost felt kind of bad, you know what I'm saying? Because I communicated to Tom what was going on, but I never communicated to him, like, what was going on and why I was drifting. So I kind of felt bad because, that didn't end how it should have ended, ended maturely. And, of course I still have feelings for him, but, I had to commit myself to Tom. So I had to bury those feelings and forget about it. So I ignored the note. Tom sent me flowers. His birthday's in February. We didn't make it official until after Super Bowl weekend. And that's because he wanted to ask my brother for his blessing. So he's like, I do want you to be my girlfriend, but don't say nothing about it yet because I want to ask your brother first. Super Bowl weekend, my family always has a party, right? So he goes with me to my family's house for the party. And he flat out, he tells my brother, like, I like your sister. I want to date her. Do I have your blessing? He brought my mom and my grandma wine. Was it wine? Yeah, he bought them wine. Just real classy, cordial kind of guy. And I just was like falling so hard because I've never dated anybody that did anything like this. Took me out on a date, met my mom and bought her wine, was cool with my brother. He was cool with the family. Like, everybody that met him loved him. It was a new experience. And I also got along with his family. Like, I don't know if he told his mom about that night and why he had to come get me. I think he made something up, but his mom liked me. His dad liked me. His sister liked me. I even met like his nieces and nephews. Like it was, our families clicked and we clicked instantly. So I thought I was going to marry this guy. You know, even a month in, I was like, damn, I think I'm going to marry him because I've never met anybody like this. And our families get along. So, wow, you know, and he's a hard worker. He got up every day to go to work. At one point, he had like 2 jobs. There was another point where he had 3 at the same time. You know what I'm saying? When I didn't have sitters, his mom and his dad would watch my daughter for me so I can go to work because I would work overnights. And so sometimes my mom and my grandma could watch her, but sometimes they couldn't. So they would step in and help me. Like it was, we had a working machine. So we made it official in February, but then the turmoil. After Valentine's Day, it just seems like our relationship started to go do. You know what I'm saying? His true colors started coming out. My true colors started coming out. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are hanging out in his room, which is usually what we did. Like if we weren't on a date or anything, the weekends we would go shopping with his parents, but we're hanging out in his room and he's getting like text messages in Spanish, but they're not from his mom. Like I know what mom is in Spanish and I know what sister is in Spanish. Hermana, mom, madre. He's getting these messages from this unknown number. So it's like, even if I wanted to go through his phone, it would be like a lost cause because I can't understand what's going on here. And he could just lie and tell me like, oh, it says this. You don't have anything to worry about. So one day I'm at the table, like their living room was here. Their kitchen was here. So if I'm sitting at the table here and he's on the couch here, like I can see into the living room if it makes sense. So he's on the couch, his back faced to me one day. I'm at the table eating. This is before my vision got super bad. I can see him sending text messages, right? And then right after they send, he deletes them. So that was red flag number 1. Number 2, sometimes I would do overtime, right? Which means I would have to stay overnight and then work that day. Tell me why one of these shifts, I'm getting blown up by him. Text message after text message. Who the fuck are you with? Where the fuck are you? Why aren't you answering your phone? You're cheating, aren't you? I knew you weren't shit. Like, stuff like that. Like, instantly jumps to the conclusion. And I text him like, I told you I was working overtime today. What are you talking about? Well, why can't you call me? What's going on? And I'm like, I'm working. If I pull out my phone and call you, they're going to fire me. You're lucky I'm texting you right now because I'm not even supposed to do that. I worked as a, what do you call that? Not a CNA, but I was like a caregiver, like a home health aide. I believe that's the term for it. So I'm looking after older people with disabilities. I can't be on my phone. Like I have to pay attention at all times because if something happens, that's my job. That's my ass. And I might go to jail. So he just didn't understand that. So I get home and I'm like, so what, you want to break up with me? Like I told you I had to work overtime. He's like, no, I'm sorry. I apologize. It was just miscommunication. And he used to drink. His drinking problem emerged almost immediately. Like I thought that was just because of like New Year's, and then he had a birthday in February, then we had Valentine's Day, so like of course we're going to be drinking, but it turned into like every day, all day. Like he would wake up, take a bunch of shots, take a shower, go to work, come home, drink some more. And I'm just like, when are you going to be sober? And then a lot of our arguments came after him drinking. So like that day that I worked overtime, he was drunk and was texting me all these weird ass threats and stuff. So I'm like, he doesn't trust me. What is he doing behind my back? Why is he sending messages and deleting them? We got into a lot of arguments about, these events. So we're now in March. We've only been together for a month. He disappears for days. He's not answering his mom's phone. So now I'm living in his house with his mom and his dad, and he's gone. I believe it was like 3 or 4 days that had passed. He wasn't answering the phone for anybody. We could not locate him or his truck. We tried looking all over, like going through his social media, what social media he did have, because he don't have Facebook. He don't use Instagram like that. So we're just like we're scared. Like, what happened to him? Like, he's a Latino male. So we're like terrified. Like, we don't know where to start to find him because he's not answering his phone. So come to find out, he ended up in Wisconsin after one of his shifts at work. And then he got arrested in Wisconsin for God knows what. So we found out he had a DUI. He got reckless driving. He was resisting arrest. It's just like all kind of shit. So he's basically locked up. So his sister had to go all the way to Wisconsin to bail him out. And I forgot how they even found him. I believe it was from his alarm system in his truck, OnStar. I believe that's how they ended up tracking him down. And like I don't know, but they did their thing and they found him. So they bail him out. He comes home. Now he has a court date in Wisconsin. And he's telling us about, because we asked him, like, how the hell did you end up in Wisconsin? You don't even know nobody out there. Or at least we don't think you know anybody out there. So me as his girlfriend, I'm thinking, like, did you run off with some bitch? Like, you had a secret family in Wisconsin I don't know about? What the fuck? So he's just like, oh, no, I got drunk. I don't know what I was thinking. I blacked out. That was his excuse. Wouldn't tell us nothing else. About a week or two passed. He ends up getting fired from his job because he missed so many days. And then they find out they find out he was missing because of his DUI. And they let him go. So now he's no longer working with my brother. My brother's antennas are going up. Now he has 2 jobs at 2 different places through temp agencies. Sometimes he has work, sometimes he doesn't. When he doesn't have work, he said he felt like less of a man. So his drinking went up because that was the only way he could deal with, what he was dealing with. And he ended up getting, let go from a couple of the temp jobs. He had 2 of them at once. One day, he's drinking before it's time for him to go in. He gets in a car crash. Gets in another crash. And, or not another one, because he didn't crash the first time. He just disappeared. And then he was resisting arrest. This time, he got into a car accident due to him drinking before going to work. After he promised us. But me, these are flaws, right? So, and I got my flaws too, because I was having panic attacks. This is right after my father passed away. So I was having bad panic attacks. Like, my doctor had to prescribe me, is it ecstasy? I think it was ecstasy, I believe, because I was like zoning out in traffic. I was blacking out. My panic attacks, like my chest would get tightened. I was running out of breath and then I would just black out. So I understood, like both of us had shit we had to work on. So I wasn't in a rush to break up with him, but I did want to help him realize like what he's doing is hurting himself. It's putting his family in danger and it's putting us in danger. So we start trying to go on more dates, to mend our relationship that is going down, down, down. After the crash, his mom signed him up to get a psych evaluation. So that, that pissed him off because he felt like, I'm not crazy. I'm just dealing with a lot of stuff. We went on a date to the movies. And before we leave, like, we weren't having as much intimacy, right? So sometimes I would pleasure myself. One of these days, he smelt it on me. Like, you know what I'm saying? He smelt my aroma. And he accused me of having sex. That was the last day we went on. And then during the whole date, he was texting his mom. He didn't watch the movie at all. And it was just like, I was just over it. You know what I'm saying? And I was just kind of like getting to the point of like, fuck this. And then what broke the camel's back was I was babysitting my niece at his house. And she's small, right? Newborn baby. She was like 2 or 3 months old, fresh out the womb. So she's crying because she's gassy. And my niece was a fussy baby. That's how she communicated her needs. And it's crazy because like he was trying to get me pregnant. He wanted me to have his baby. And then we have an actual baby in the house. And he was like irritated. He was pissed, angry. So he's sleeping. My niece starts crying. So, I'm burping her to get her to calm down. Out of nowhere, he almost hit my daughter because of how hard he flipped the covers off of him. She was like sitting like behind both of us, but like he was laying down, so it was like she was within range. He goes like this, whips the covers off of himself, gets out of bed, and throws his phone so far down the hallway that it hits his parents' door. And then he goes out to the living room and lays on the couch. So basically, I was like, fuck this. It's just me and the girls. His parents are gone. I don't feel safe. Like, what is he on? Like, is he drunk again? Like, I was just terrified for our safety. Again, fight or flight response. Even though he didn't put his hands on me or anybody else, I was just like, I think it's time to end this relationship because I don't know where it's headed. So I packed the baby up. I packed up my daughter. I didn't take any of my stuff. I just, packed up the baby and we left. And once he came to, which was about 4 or 5 hours later, he's texting me like, where are you? What happened? Where did you go? I'm sorry. What did I do? I don't remember. You don't remember? What? So he finally pulls up to my grandmother's house because I'm not answering any of his messages or calls. Everybody's there, and I'm letting them know like what happened and why I had to leave, and I'm letting my sister know like the baby is safe, we're good. So he pulls up on me, and I'm like, we have nothing to talk about. I'm coming to get my stuff, and it's over. Where are you gonna go? What happened? What did I do? I don't remember. And I'm like, okay, look, this is what happened. This is what you did, and I know it's because you were either, I don't know if you were drunk, and I really don't care. That was not an appropriate reaction to a baby crying. What if I get pregnant and we have a newborn? You gonna throw the dresser because the baby is hungry and they can't stop crying? What happens if I have to leave the baby alone with you? You gonna throw the baby across the room? I was over it at that point. And then I'm letting him know about like all the other stuff, this is a habit I do have to stop. I see things in a relationship that I don't agree with, and I wait until we have an argument to voice it. So I'll let him know, like, yeah, I see you deleting messages. I think you're cheating on me anyway. And then he tells me that, his mom has no interest in having a mixed family, i.e., she does not want him to have a baby with a black girl or anybody that's not Mexican or Latino or whatever the cause. So I'm like, we're doomed. We're wasting our time at this point because I know how much you love your mom and you respect her opinion. So there's no reason for me to even be around. And then he said like his goal was after he finds his wife was to get a big house big enough for him, his mom, his dad, and whatever kids they gonna have. I didn't agree with that. Especially because I found out his mom was prejudiced. So it's like, we just got to end it. We got to end it here. This is a sign for me that this needs to end. So yeah, that relationship was about a month long. And then one thing I did forget to mention in the video is that during the time we were trying to reconcile our relationship, I found out that he had tried to get at my sister. Tried to sleep with her for revenge. And to this day, I don't know if anything actually happened. She claims nothing happened, but my thing was, he was the one that told me first. So how can I believe nothing happened if you didn't even say anything about him texting you? You know what I mean? So that was another big issue. That was another reason that I could not see myself dating him again, because it's like, I can't trust you. You had an opportunity to stab me in the back, get back at me for breaking up with you. And you took it. You tried to hurt me. So why should I believe that you want to rekindle a healthy relationship with me and you're trying to fuck my sister? So I had to move back in. I had to move in with my little sister for about a month. So from March to April, I lived with my little sister. And then I finally got my own place that April. We went out on a date after we broke up, right after I got my new place. And I just thought, I'm going to give him another chance. He sent me a bunch of text messages about how he got baptized, how he was taking care of his business in Wisconsin, how he was changed and he don't even touch alcohol no more. So I'm like, okay, we'll see. I go on a date with him just to see. He wasn't drinking. He wasn't drunk. The date was nice. He made a picnic for us at the state park. We sat by the river and we like discussed getting together again. But then I asked him about his mom. And I'm like, okay, even if everything is all good, hunky-dory, what about your mom? If I get pregnant, she's not going to like me or the baby. If we get married, we have to live together. I'm not going to live with somebody that don't like me or my children. She could poison us. She could, anything. So although the date was nice, I had to let him know, like, I would love to get back with you. Because other than your outbursts and your sneaky behavior, you did treat me good. But we're doomed. We're doomed. Nothing's going to come of this. Nothing positive, at least. Maybe we could be friends. Maybe. That's a strong maybe. But other than that, no. And then that ended up destroying his relationship with my brother. Like, they ended up not being cool anymore. So it was just like, it was a lot of damage done that couldn't be undone, even by us getting back together. We involved too many people in our issues. So it was just like, we had to dead that shit. He did not want to dead it though. Like, to this day, he's still like trying to reach out to me and see if we can rekindle and get back together. And the answer is still no. He was basically like, well, if you don't agree with living with my mom after we get married, then you're right. This isn't going to work. But he's still pursuing me. So I don't know. The elevator's not going all the way to the top. He also admitted on this date that his blackout might have been due to him doing drugs. He reveals to me that the entire time we were dating, he was using cocaine. He was popping pills. He even said that he had used meth. So, yeah, I really know how to pick him, huh? All of that was like a turn off to me. Other than the fact that his mom, like, didn't want us to be together or procreate. That really put the cherry on top for me. My mom dated somebody that did hard drugs, married him actually. So it's a turn off for me. It's an instant turn off for me, and it makes me feel like I'm in danger. And that was the year of 2019. And I was not interested in relationships. Like, after we ended our relationship, I went back to either being by myself, or I was entertaining the guy that I was in love with. And just like chilling, I pretty much stayed to myself after that. And then COVID hit. It was just like, it was a lot. You know what I'm saying? After COVID hit is when the father of my children rotates back into the picture. So it's like Mother's Day. He sends me a text message, tells me Happy Mother's Day after years of not talking, keeping me blocked. And then after that, we talked it out, and he wanted to come visit to see, my daughter, because he had never met her. And that I will save until the next episode, because that's a whole nother long story. There's a part 2 to me and my baby daddy, and this is around the time that I get my diagnosis. So thank you for tuning in. That's all I got for you today. I know I didn't talk your ear off enough. I done gave you 3 stories in one video. What more could you ask for? All right, I'll see you in episode 2, season 2, Manic Monday. Bye.